I'm sitting here, and opposite me is a lovely friend of mine, the very beautiful Lauren Martz. Lauren and I have known each other for just over a year, and Lauren is a very interesting girl because Lauren has a very interesting pet. Lauren, would you like to say hi to everyone at Glow Time Radio?
Hello.
So, Lauren, as I understand it, you have a very interesting pet. Why don't you tell us what that pet is?
I do. I have a pet steer. His name is Charlie.
Now, for those of you that don't know, a pet steer, we'll call it a pet cow. It's a cow, actually, but it's a steer.
It's easier to say cow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So a steer is a male.
A steer is a male cow.
I was going to let you say that because I wasn't going to say that because a male cow is a steer. All right, we got that out of the way. Now, Lauren, what on earth made you decide that you wanted to have a pet steer?
I really just had to rescue him. I like to call him my rescue cow. Mm-hmm. So I worked at a ranch.
You worked at a ranch?
A ranch in Colorado.
And what? How big was the ranch?
Well, it was actually in the Medicine Bow National Park.
Okay.
So part of our ranch land was part of the park.
Okay.
So it's kind of hard to say acreage.
Now, when we say ranch,
mm-hmm.
when we say ranch, did many people work there, or was it a ranch where people came to have a holiday?
It was both. It was a dude ranch.
A dude ranch?
A dude ranch, yes.
What is a dude ranch?
So that is basically where people can go visit to get the Old West feel.
Okay.
They can ride horses through the mountains. They can wrestle cattle.
So are these like city slickers?
Yes.
Exactly
yes.
what they are, isn't it?
It's almost exactly like the movie.
So you have to really train them on which end to get on.
You know, some of them are better than others, mm-hmm. but some of them are very clueless.
Yeah, I think everyone in London that's listening to this and everyone at Glow Time Radio, I doubt that there's more than a couple that would know what a steer is. But still, we're going to educate you guys.
Exactly.
So it was a dude ranch. Now tell me about Charlie.
Charlie was, I raised him from about 5 days old.
Oh, okay.
So I bottle fed him twice a day until he was about 3 months old. Mm-hmm. He was part of a petting zoo. Okay. So basically the kids at the ranch got to come and feed him every morning or night. Mm-hmm. And then if they wanted to, they can go in during the day and pet him or brush him. And
so he was very friendly with people, well used to them.
Exactly.
That's kind of cool.
So that was kind of... He was raised to be friendly and mm-hmm. like people and just be a good time for everyone. Okay.
So what happened? Now that was out in, where was that?
It was Colorado. But our mailing address was in Wyoming. So
okay.
It was very
so it was
close.
On the border?
Yeah.
Okay. Because Wyoming's kind of out there from
mm-hmm.
here. How far is that from Indianapolis, where we're talking?
Well, when I brought Charlie home, I think it took us 23 hours.
You drove 23 hours up to Colorado, border with Wyoming, mm-hmm. to your dude ranch, mm-hmm. and you pulled him back in a trailer or on the back of a truck or what? 23 hours? Are you nuts?
Well, what had happened was my boyfriend had come with a van from Indiana, so I only had to make this trip once. Okay. Unfortunately, he did not. Mm-hmm. He had to do it multiple times. But he came up with a large van. So in the back of the van, we kind of made a stall for Charlie put down hay and straw to kind of keep him in place. And growing up for Charlie, he liked to lay in a tire, like an old tractor tire. So we bought a tractor tire from town and cut out the middle of it and put it in the van. Okay. And Charlie, it was like a crib that Charlie traveled in.
So now, you said earlier that you rescued him. What were you rescuing him from? What was the problem?
Basically, when my contract ran up at the ranch, 3 months was my contract, they were going to send him off to auction to be finished, basically. So basically fatten him up and then sell him for slaughter.
I just got to ask, did he have a really nice rump?
He did not, no.
You'd say that anyway, just in case I got ideas.
I would.
No. You know, I've always imagined standing next to a cow and marking out rump steak, ribs, prime rib and that. But we'll stay away from that because Charlie's a pet. I know. So you really had to save him from the slaughterhouse, basically.
That was basically what I had to do.
Now, how did you find out? I mean, you're now living in Indianapolis, so did they call you and tell you?
Well, this was actually before I left.
Oh, okay.
So It was, I want to say, about 2 weeks before I left when they told me what their plans were to do with him.
So why didn't they want him there anymore?
It was they're not in the cattle ranching business, so they're not in the, raising steer. Mm-hmm. Basically, they didn't need him anymore.
Wow, just like that. And so either way, even if they had put him to one of the other ranches around the area,
right,
he would have ended up,
He would have. And actually, he came from a ranch that was down the road. So they could have taken him back to where he came from, but they wouldn't have gotten the money for him that I'd...
So you decided at that point that you were you loved him and you wanted to keep him as a pet.
Yeah, I was his mom. I'm still his mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're in Indianapolis. You've driven 23 hours with a steer in the back of your van, your big, and I'm guessing it must be a pretty big van.
Yeah, one of those Econoline.
Okay,
yeah.
I think I know the sort that you mean. So you just brought him into your house, your front garden, your backyard. I mean, what did you have to do to get the cow here?
The people at the ranch honestly thought I was going to put him in my backyard at home. But my sister owns a horse farm.
Okay.
So she's got, I want to say 15 acres out, about 20 minutes from where I live.
Okay.
So I just kind of dropped him off and said, hey,
Charlie, here's your new
Charlie.
home.
Exactly.
Don't go attacking the horses.
Yeah.
So how long's he been there?
He's been there, that was the summer of 2012. So
he's
we're
been
going
there a couple of years now. 3 years coming on.
Yeah, he's almost 3 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
And is he thriving there?
He is. He's a big boy now.
So, I mean, I don't know, how long does a steer live?
I've heard a lot of different things. Some people say naturally 20 years.
20 years?
20 years, yeah.
God, that's going to be a tough old steak.
Exactly. And people ask me all the time, if Charlie dies of natural causes, are you going to eat him?
No,
and
you're
I
not
said,
going to.
No, you're crazy. I would never do that.
You wouldn't do that.
No. I've also heard that it just depends on how long his body will last.
Yeah.
As far as weight.
Because we have bred the cattle, especially in the States, maybe not with Charlie, but they're bred to be fully grown in just a few months with hormones and things like that. As fast as we can grow them so that they can be, shipped off and converted into beef and food. And so their bodies are unnaturally large for the size of their legs.
Right.
And so, keeping an animal like that has more or less been bred over 50 years, 100 years to be bigger and bigger and more meaty and things like that isn't kind of good news for Charlie as a pet.
I would say the difference between Charlie in a feedlot, just steer, cow, whatever. He gets to go out and he gets to do his thing. Now there are cows that live in pasture and they get to live out their life grass fed. But I mean, we're not forcing Charlie to eat, and it's not a high yield.
No, you leave him as a natural as natural as it is for a cow or a steer.
I mean, he thinks he's a horse, so we treat him like one, and that's how.
Well, remember,
that's how he lives.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because there are no mirrors.
Right.
So he looks at the other animals and he can't really see himself.
Exactly.
So he must assume that he's one of them.
He's only seen cows. They were steers, ever one time in his life. So we were at the ranch, and they have just a group they'll go on cattle drives, which they take the cows from one pasture to another with the guests.
So they're riding on horses and they're going, yeah!
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Chasing them around.
Yeah.
So I'm taking Charlie kind of out of his pen, trying to get him used to the world outside of his cage, basically. And these cows they're all kind of scared of him, and he's, Charlie and inquisitive, and he likes to, and he just kind of stares at him. Just
now, when you go
surprised.
there, and I'm guessing you see him probably every weekend or every other weekend. When you go there, does he recognize you?
Oh yeah, I see him probably 3 times a week.
Oh, okay.
He's actually got a stall.
Okay.
Like a horse would. So I've got to keep.
So if he's in the pasture and you arrive,
yes,
what does he do?
As far as the setup of the barn, he doesn't know that I'm there. But if I go to the edge of the fence line or whatever, and I yell his name and just say, Charlie, he will literally stop what he's doing, look up at me, kind of find out where I am. Depending on how far back he is, he'll come to me.
Okay.
Like a dog.
Okay. And then he kind of nuzzles up to you and he's glad to see you.
He's kind of...
He's kind of laid back.
He's kind of mean these days,
Oh, really?
Well, he's bigger. I didn't discipline him a lot as a small
So he eats whatever
animal.
he can.
Yeah, so he likes to headbutt and just...
Oh, really?
He thinks It's normal behavior for them, but I didn't discipline him.
So you wouldn't recognise any of the dudes from the dude ranch getting too close to him and trying to lasso him maybe and bring him down?
Yeah.
Well, how big? How much does he weigh roughly?
He's in the upward thousands.
1,000 pounds more? And what colour is he? Is he black and white, a Frisian?
He's red and white, so he's a Hereford.
Okay, Hereford. Yeah. You said Hereford.
Well, that's what we call it.
You know, that's an English word.
I know, it is.
No, that's good. So he's a Hereford. And does he have horns?
He does not. So he's a polled cow.
Okay, so they took them off when he was young?
He was actually bred to not have
okay.
them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they've been
well, Lauren, this is kind of strange. So ladies and gentlemen, for all our listeners, Lauren, as I said to you earlier, is a friend of mine, and I just found this a fascinating story about having a pet steer, and I wanted to share it with you all to let you know that there are many other types of pets that people have. And next time you drive past a field, think about Charlie, and maybe you can go over there and say hi. They probably won't say anything to you. But Lauren, what is your plans next? I mean,
with Charlie?
With Charlie.
Ultimately, when I buy a house, I have plans to have enough room for Charlie so he can live out his life.
So right now he's about 3?
He's almost 3, yeah.
So, I mean, you could have another 17 years with him.
I could, yeah.
Providing he doesn't keep growing.
Exactly. I mean, we've had
have to put him on a diet. This would be the only steer in the world that might have to go on a diet.
He's not as... He's muscular. Mm-hmm. We'll give him that. And he's got a lot of bone.
Does he have, a character that you can recognise?
He really does. Kind of oafy, just kind of do-de-do, walking around. But he's really smart. I was a horse person, and I didn't think cows were fun. I didn't think they were cute. I didn't think they were smart. I didn't like them until I had Charlie. Until
you drove 23 hours.
Until I drove.
What was that be? About 1,500 miles to go and pick him up and bring him back.
Mm-hmm. He's worth it.
He's worth it, yeah. Well, listen, I wish you well with him.
Thank you.
And I think what you did was really, really nice. It shows a kind heart to make a difference for one animal.
Right.
So the reason I wanted to interview was because, you're one of a kind too.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, and so I thank you very, very much for meeting with me and talking with me.
You're welcome.
And Lauren, would you like to say goodbye to all our...
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, and so I thank you very, very much for meeting with me and talking with me.
You're welcome.
And Lauren, would you like to say goodbye to all our friends at Glow Time Radio?
Goodbye, everyone at Glow Time Radio.
And thank you. This is Tony Moore, your US correspondent, saying thank you and good night.